Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I have this 2019 Volvo VNL. In this case, it was having problems with the NOx sensors. The NOx sensors are the ones that are measuring the emissions on these trucks, these modern trucks. Everything that has to do with emissions, the NOx sensors are the ones that are in charge to know how this engine and truck itself and the system, emission system, is performing, reducing the emissions for the atmosphere. So the process of replacing these sensors is pretty easy, and I'm gonna explain you little details about it. And in this case, I don't have the specific software, the Volvo software, to actually go through the whole diagnostic process, but I have the OTR performance diagnostic tool. This is capable to diagnose most of the common problems that these Volvo VNLs could have, and it helped me out to diagnose then the problem that we're having on this Volvo VNL was NOx sensors. In this case, the inlet and the outlet NOx sensors were going bad. It's normal after many miles of use. It is normal then these sensors go bad. It's something that happens to almost every manufacturer. Once I knew that these sensors were bad, I had to do a regen just to make sure if these sensors they were actually failing on motion. Deleting the codes is very important just to see if the fail comes back. To replace the sensors, it's pretty easy. They're located on the passenger side, and you have to remove all these covers, which are not that hard to remove. You just have to remove a bunch of bolts. These are pretty similar bolts, 12 and 13. That's only type of socket that you need, the only two type of sockets. And then you just have to remove different bolts. You can remove all the bolts that you want, or you can remove specific bolts to remove the whole piece completely. It will depend up to you. Because this is a heavy piece altogether, so removing the individual bolts, individual brackets and covers is going to be a little easier. So once you remove that, you're going to have access to the NOx sensor. In this case, I have the used NOx sensors removed. Can you pass me the sensors here? Give me another one. So in this case, I have both of the sensors, and here are the part numbers. Here, this is the inlet, and this is the outlet. These NOx sensors are not going to be exactly similar to every truck. This doesn't mean that your truck is going to have this specific sensor. So these part numbers are specifically for this truck, but all trucks vary depending on the application, the type of body they have, and the year when they were built. So these sensors could be different or could be similar. So, but it will be better if you go directly to your manufacturer and look for your specific sensor. So once you remove these covers, you are going to see then the SCR box. In this case, the whole system is going to be located right there, and then you have access to the oxygen sensors, the NOx sensors. One is located on the front of the box, and the other one is located on the back. This is pretty easy process to do. You just remove some zip ties that are holding the cables. Remove the sensor probe. These are 10mm bolts that you can easily remove with any power tool or a ratchet. And then you are going to remove the NOx sensor itself from the emission system. This is pretty easy because this sensor is pretty easy to remove because it doesn't get stuck like Cascadias, like other brands, Cummins still. So this one is pretty easy. Use a 7/8 socket, and it comes out pretty easy. Doesn't get rusted, doesn't get anything. So you won't have hard time removing it. And if you do, you can use my other videos where I show how to remove NOx sensors on different trucks, Cascadias and Cummins ISX. A process, then you have to warm the sensor up. You have to heat it up as much as you can, and then try to release it. You can check my other videos on how to remove those. And once you have it out, it's very important at this point, inspect the cable, the plug, and everything that is related to the wiring that is located on the emission system. The new sensor is going to be easy to install too. You're just gonna insert the sensor itself in this, the system, the emission system, and then you're gonna tighten it. Don't tighten it too much because then it's gonna be hard to remove it. You can use a small ratchet just to tighten enough. Anyway, this one gets tight over time because of the heat. Then you have to put the sensor probe with the 10mm bolts. Pretty easy. You just tighten it with a power tool or with a ratchet, or a ratchet will be better. And then you clip the plug back. Pretty simple. Then all you have to do is to make sure that the wiring, the cable of the sensor is located or relocated on the right place where it has to go. If the wiring of the sensor is not located properly, probably it can get damaged over time because of the motion of the vehicle and the turbulence of the air once this truck is on motion. And the same thing, once you remove this sensor, the front one is already replaced. Once you have done this one, the same thing you have to do with the rear sensor, which is the outlet knock sensor. Same process, you have to remove the sensor probe, you have to remove the sensor plug, and then remove the zip ties that are holding the cable all the way to the sensor itself on the emission system. And then you remove the same way with the 7/8 socket completely the sensor itself from the system, and it comes out. Again, this sensor doesn't get rusted inside, and that's the reason why it's pretty easy to remove. So then you get it out, and that will be it. Now you get it off completely and you press it back the same way as you remove it. Make sure to get zip ties and everything to relocate the wiring, the cable of the sensor right where it should be. And then you put the probe, the sensor probe back where it needs to be, tightened very well, plug it back. And as we did in the inlet knock sensor, we have to inspect the wiring always. We have to inspect the wiring to see if we have any damage, because if there is any damage, we have to repair at this point so we can get any, we don't get any type of troubles after we replace this sensor. It's gonna be a pretty simple process after that, just putting bolts. And as I said before, these bolts are very similar. They're all 12 for these ones and 13 for the nuts right here. So you won't get confused in any case, and you think then the bolts are going to be different. You can remove all the bolts and you're gonna have 13 or 12. That's it, nothing else. And the size of the bolts is pretty much the same. They're no longer than the others. They're pretty much the same size, like a 1 inch or 1.5 inches, not sure, but they're pretty much equal. So it doesn't matter where you remove the bolt or where you put it back, it's gonna be the same. It doesn't have any difference on that. Now, we have done replacing the knock sensors. There is one important step now to do, is to delete the codes just to validate the repair and then do a regen. We have to do a regen. In this case, I'm gonna be using OTR Performance Diagnostic Tool to go to the regen process and be sure then the sensors get validation by the computer and these ones are working fine. And once the regen is completed, we are ready to go. The truck is ready to go over the road. It's a pretty simple process on Volvo trucks. It's easier to do it on Volvo trucks at some point because the sensors itself are not rusted inside the thread, and this allows you to do it, to remove the sensors easily, and you don't have to deal or to reviving the thread and work. So there is so many things involved when it comes to removing knock sensors, but in this case Volvos are pretty easy to remove. On freightliners in this case, then are the ones that I work the most, are very hard to remove. You can spend around like 1 hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours just to repair a sensor. You remove the sensor and then you have to revive the thread, and once you revive the thread you have to go through the whole process, put it back, and it's not going to be a simple process as it looks on this one. But the basic on how to remove it is going to be similar for all trucks. The location where the sensor is and the difficulty on how to access to the sensor is going to vary depending on the type of truck that you have, because the SCR box vary depending on the trucks. If you have a day cab, if you have a sleeper cab, if you have a mid cab, if you have a dump truck, a car hauler, they're all vary depending on the application. But this is pretty much it, what I have to share with you about removing the sensors on this Volvo VNL with a D13 engine. And this process is going to be similar to all trucks from 2019 and up, and probably some older, probably is going to be different because the SCR system is different on those older trucks, but the basics on how to do the process is going to be the same as I said before. If you have any questions, just comment below, just comment on the section comment section, and here you can share anything about this. And also, I was going to show you the sensors. So you already saw them previously, but it is good that you see them. So the sensors are these ones right here, and if you wonder what goes bad on these sensors, mostly this is what goes bad. This right here. This is a digital device that actually transforms the signal from the sensor right here. This is the sensor, then sends the emissions or whatever it's reading. It can read air, it can read emissions, it can read whatever type of measurement they reads. This sends the signal to the sensor probe right here, and this one transforms the signal to the computer so the computer can understand it the way it needs it. So this is what goes bad on this one. So this pretty much doesn't go bad. It's pretty much this what goes, because you know, extreme heat and movement, motions, and a lot of situations that happens over the road is the reason why these sensors go bad. In this case, I have replaced both, but you can just replace one, or at the time you can replace two, but they're very expensive. They're around like $1,400 depending, and you have to return this one. This is a core, so when you return the core, they're gonna give you some money back, but still it's a lot of money to spend on this sensor. But overall, this is all. And as I say, comment below if you have any type of questions about this video, and if you have any type of doubts or recommendations or anything experience, anything related to this issue, you can comment below. It will be helpful for anybody that is looking answers. You know, there is always questions that cannot be answered on this video, and by you sharing any type of experience, you probably can have the answer to those questions that weren't answered on this video. Go to Instagram and look for me, franciscoamaya YouTube. You're gonna find different things, and also you can ask me anything. Just be patient at the moment of asking me anything, and go to the description of the video where I have details how to send support to the channel. And as always, like, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching.